Hello friends, welcome to this session of Neuroanatomy. Here we will discuss about the medulla oblongata. So, in the last session we have discussed about the brainstem and its divisions. There you got to know the three divisions, and today we will see the lowest division of the brainstem, that is medulla oblongata, under following headings: introduction, gross features, that is external features, internal features like the organization of gray matter and white matter at different tracts, nuclei at different levels, blood supply to understand the syndromes, and lastly applied aspects. So, when you see the anterior view of the brainstem, here you are seeing the entire brainstem having the three parts: midbrain, pons, medulla, above downwards. You can see there the medulla is the lower part of the brainstem, extending between the pontomedullary junction and spinomedullary junction. It is separated from the pons by the pontomedullary junction and spinal cord by the imaginary spinomedullary junction, which cuts across the atlas, first cervical vertebra, and also odontid process of the axis. Here you can see the three parts in a sagittal section: midbrain, pons, and medulla, connected to cerebellum by respective cerebellar peduncles. When you see the external features, we see the following parameters here: shape, measurements, junctions, and parts. When you view the anterior portion of the medulla, it is piriform in shape, inverted piriform shape, and medulla is also called as bulb, and it measures around 3 centimeter in the length, 2 centimeter in breadth, and 1.25 centimeter in thickness, and it lies between the two junctions, that is pontomedullary and spinomedullary. And you will see the cranial nerves 6, 7, 8 at the pontomedullary junction, and it has two parts: lower closed part and upper open part. Lower closed part resembles the spinal cord, whereas upper open part is due to the acute ventral ponton flexure that we have discussed in the last session. And once you see the ventral surface here, you can see that is the entire extent of the medulla, and you can notice the pontomedullary junction, and here the spinomedullary junction, and you can notice the origin of three cranial nerves at the pontomedullary junction: abducent, facial, and vestibulocochlear. And you also see some cranial nerve arising from the ventral surface of the medulla. And when you see the cross section and the entire view of medulla, it shows the anterior median fissure, which divides into two halves incompletely. You can see anterior median fissure here. At the level of pons, it presents a foramen cecum, and below it is limited by the decussation of the pyramidal fibers. And posteriorly you will see posterior median sulcus, which is incomplete and continue as median sulcus in the upper open part, and it has an anterolateral sulcus which separates the pyramid from the olive, that is the anterior median fissure. You can see the pyramid on either side. Then this is an anterolateral sulcus, and from here you will see the rootlets of the hypoglossal nerve or 12th cranial nerve emerging, and posterolateral sulcus posterior to olive. Posterolateral sulcus, it corresponds to the posterior roots, whereas the anterolateral sulcus corresponds to anterior roots of the spinal nerve. And from the posterolateral sulcus, you will see the three nerves: glossopharyngeal, vagus, and rootlets of the cranial root of the accessory nerve emerging. So, this is how the medulla is divided into three parts: anterior, lateral, and posterior funiculi by anterior median fissure, posterior median sulcus, anterolateral sulcus, and posterolateral sulcus. Anterior median fissure above is limited by foramen cecum and below by the pyramidal decussation. Here you can see the dissected part here. You can see the entire medulla here. You can see that is a foramen cecum, anterior median fissure on either side of the anterior median fissure pyramid, and lateral to pyramid in the upper part you will see olive elevation in the upper part, that is olive. Between pyramid and olive you will see anterolateral sulcus, hypoglossal nerve, and behind the olive and the inferior cerebellar peduncle you will see 9, 10, 11 nerves, and at the pontomedullary junction between pyramid and pons you will see abducent, between olive and pons you will see 7th cranial nerve, and lateral to olive you will see vestibulocochlear nerve. This is the posterior view of the medulla. You can see the upper open part or supromedial open part and infrolateral closed part. Upper part is open, lower part is closed. Why it is open? It is due to acute ventral ponton flexure, and pontomedullary junction is by the stria medullaris posteriorly. Anteriorly you will see a sulcus, posteriorly you will see stria medullaris separating the pons from the medulla. And when you see, this is the posterior view of the medulla, upper open part and lower closed part. You can see here the arrow is showing the V-shaped, that is supromedial open part if you see in one half, and infrolateral closed part, and you can see posterior median sulcus there. On either side of the posterior median sulcus you will see the elevation, that is the gracile tubercle which houses the nucleus gracilis. It corresponds to nucleus gracilis beneath it, and lateral that you will see cuneate tubercle. It corresponds to nucleus cuneatus beneath it, and you also see more laterally you will see tuber cinereum. It is due to spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve, and in the upper open part you will see median sulcus which corresponds to the posterior median sulcus in the closed part, and dividing into two halves, and each half is again further divided into two parts by the sulcus limitans. You can see here the arrow is showing the sulcus limitans, dividing the each half again into two parts, the medial part and lateral part. Middle part is called as hypocausal triangle. It has hypocausal nucleus beneath it, and lateral part is called as vestibular area. It has a medial and inferior vestibular nuclei, and at sulcus limitans you will see one pit there, that is inferior fovea. Beneath the inferior fovea you will see vagal triangle, that is vagal triangle. It houses the dorsal nucleus of vagus beneath it. So when you see here, the funiculus suppurans is a sheet bridging the vagal triangle of the both sides, and this is the cerebellum covering the cavity of the fourth ventricle and upper open part of the medulla. This is a posterior view, and there are some other vital centers in the medulla like respiratory centers and cardiac centers, so which are involved in this automatic reflexes which are helpful in the cardiac and respiratory activity. And when you see this diagrammatic representation of the anterior area, what do you see? Pontomedullary junction, and here spinomedullary junction, foramen cecum, anterior median fissure, and on either side of the anterior median fissure pyramid. Between pyramid and pons, abducent nerve, lateral to pyramid in the upper part, olive, and what you see there behind the olive, 9, 10, 11 nerves, and lateral to pyramid you will see hypocausal nerve, lateral to olive, and just between the olive and pons you will see facial nerve, and lateral to that vestibulocochlear nerve. Posterior to sulcus gives rise to three nerves, glossopharyngeal, vagus, and cranial accessory nerve. In the lateral view you can see, again in the upper part you will see olive, and I told you anterolateral sulcus corresponds to the anterior root and posterior sulcus to the posterior root, and you will see these two tubercles, gracile and cuneate tubercles, corresponding to the nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus beneath them. And again if you see the supromedial zone, the junction between the pons and medulla is formed by the stria medullaris, and each half is divided into two parts by the median sulcus, and in each part again it is divided into two half by the sulcus limitans into medial hypocausal triangle and lateral vestibular area. And at the level of inferior fovea, below it you will see a vagal triangle between the medial area and lateral area, that is between the hypocausal trigon and vestibular area, and the vagal triangle are connected by a sheet that is called as funiculus separations, and below it the apex is shaped like the nib of the pen. It is called as calamus scriptorius, and here you can see the gracile and cuneate tubercles and also tuber cinereum due to spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. So this is about the external features of the medulla, what you observe. So, now we will dwell into the internal features, how the internal features will be there. Internal features can be studied by a series of transverse section at different level. The observations at the different level are reconstructed for the integration and better understanding. And in the medulla, we will take three sections, one at the level of pyramidal decussation, one at the sensory decussation, one at the level of Oliver nucleus. So, the medulla at a pyramidal and sensory decussation is almost like a spinal cord, but it differs in the section at the Oliver nucleus, where it has a posterior open part that you have already seen in the gross features. You can see in a sagittal section there. The uppermost section crossed through the cavity of the fourth ventricle, and you can see the floor of the cavity of the fourth ventricle there. So, this is about the cross sections. Now, we will see one by one. So, cross section at the decussation of pyramidal fibers just rostral to spinomedullary junction. Here, the structure is similar to spinal cord. They have a central canal surrounded by central grey matter with ventral and dorsal grey columns, and peripherally placed white matter in the form of anterolateral and posterior white funiculi. When you see the section here, how it appears, the section is like this. It is similar to the spinal cord with a central canal surrounded by the central grey matter, and you have the dorsal and ventral grey horns there. But here, the ventral grey horn is separated from the mass of the central grey matter by the decussation of the pyramidal fibers or corticospinal tract. They decussate at the lower part of the medulla, and the fibers which decussate, they separate the ventral grey horn from the posterior grey column and central grey column. So, this separated part of the ventral grey column is called as supraspinal nucleus. It gives rise to ventral root of the first cervical nerve, and some lateral fibers extend till the 5 cervical segments and form spinal fibers of the accessory nerve. And these fibers, pyramidal fibers, after decussation, 70 to 90% decussate and form lateral corticospinal tract, occupy the lateral funiculi, and remaining they will descend as the anterior corticospinal tract. And you can see the spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve in the posterior grey mass. It receives the parent temperature from the ipsilateral side of the face and forehead by the spinal tract, which receive fibers from the trigeminal ganglion. And then you have in the posterior funiculi, you have the nucleus gracilis there. Now, you will notice that nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus, they carry the fibers, that is nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus. Nucleus gracilis carries the sensations like touch, pressure, vibration and proprioception from the lower limb and lower part of trunk, and it produces the elevation. The white matter of the nucleus gracilis is called as fasciculus gracilis. Now, you are seeing nucleus cuneatus. It carries the same sensation from the upper part of the trunk and upper limb, and the fibers entering to nucleus cuneatus form fasciculus cuneatus, and both these nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus, they form the tubercles posteriorly, gracile and cuneate tubercles, and they both carry touch, pressure, vibration and proprioception. Along with that, they also carry some proprioceptive fibers to cerebellum via dorsal spinocerebellar tract and ventral spinocerebellar tract. And you will see other white matter here like lateral spinothalamic tract carrying pain and temperature, spino-olivary tract and rubrospinal tract, vestibulospinal tract. So, these are the different parts of the white matter, and when you divide the grey matter and white matter at this level, the grey matter, that is the collection of neurons, is in the form of supraspinal nucleus, giving origin to ventral root of first cervical nerve and accessory nerve. Spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve carry pain and temperature from the ipsilateral forehead and face. Nucleus gracilis, I have already told you, they carry touch, pressure, vibration and proprioception. Along with some proprioceptive fibers, they enter as the dorsal spinocerebellar tract into cerebellum. nucleus cuneatus, same sensation from the upper part of the trunk and upper limb. The descending tracts are pyramidal, vestibulo, rubro and tectospinal tract and reticulospinal tract. Ascending tracts are dorsal and ventral spinocerebellar tracts, ventral and lateral spinothalamic tracts, spino-olivary and spinotectal tracts. So, this is how the grey matter and white matter is organized in the lower part of the medulla at the level of pyramidal decussation. Again, if you see, the grey matter is in the form of the supraspinal nucleus, which is detached by the main grey mass by the decussation of the pyramidal fibers, and you will see spinal nucleus, nucleus cuneatus, nucleus gracilis there in the posterior funiculi and lateral funiculi. The white matter is in the form of pyramidal tract, vestibulospinal tract, then rubrospinal tract, then you have this spinal tract of trigeminal nerve, dorsal and ventral spinocerebellar tracts, you can see laterally, and you will see ventral and dorsal, ventral and lateral spinothalamic tract. In between them you will see spinotectal tract and also you will see spino-olivary tract. So, these are the different grey matter and white matter. See here, structure is similar to spinal cord, but they are scattered, that we should understand where they are positioned and why they are positioned. So, that is the difference here, and you can see the extent of the different nuclei. The nuclei which you have seen here is a spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve in the green color. It extends till the pons there, carrying the pain and temperature from the ipsilateral side of the face and forehead, and you will see nucleus gracilis, nucleus cuneatus and supraspinal nucleus at this level. And when you move to the next level, that is cross section at the lower medulla, just rostral to pyramidal decussation. It shows structure similar to the medulla at pyramidal decussation, except what are the new things you see here? Decussation of internal arcuate fibers and 3 nuclei: hypocausal nuclei, dorsal nucleus of vagus and nucleus of tractus solitarius. And when you see here, you can see the fibers, second order neurons coming from nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus. They decussate in the anterior part in the form of medial lemniscus behind pyramid and in front of medial longitudinal fasciculus, separating the spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve from the posterior grey mass. Central canal is there, and you can see the decussation of the sensory fibers. Second order neurons carrying touch, pressure, vibration and perception, they form medial lemniscus between the pyramid, that is the uncrossed pyramidal fibers, and medial longitudinal fasciculus. And central grey mass shows 3 nucleus: hypocausal, dorsal nucleus of vagus and nucleus of tractus solitarius. These are the 3 nuclei, whereas the white matter and grey matter remains the same as you have seen in the pyramidal decussation. You can see there nucleus and spinal tract of this trigeminal nerve is separated from the main mass by the decussation of sensory fibers, and you will see the white matter that you have seen at the lower level. So, in the grey matter, what you will see? Hypocausal nuclei. It belongs to general somatic efferent column and supplies the muscles of the tongue. It lies in the midline. I told you it is due to developmental background. Dorsal nucleus of vagus. It belongs to both the general visceral efferent and general visceral afferent column. Supplies the cardiac muscle and smooth muscles of the thorax and abdomen, and also provides parasympathetic fibers to securomotor fibers to glands of thorax and abdomen. Nucleus of tractus solitarius belongs to special visceral afferent column, receive taste fibers from the facial, glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve. And in the white matter, the medial longitudinal fasciculus and medial lemniscus are the additions. Remaining are same what you have seen at the pyramidal level. So, you can see the hypocausal nucleus is at this level, then dorsal nucleus of vagus, nucleus of tractus solitarius. See, they are extending throughout the medulla, and even the spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. This will give you idea. Hypocausal nucleus belongs to general somatic efferent, and dorsal nucleus of vagus to the general visceral efferent and general visceral afferent, and spinal nucleus of trigeminal to the this special visceral afferent. and you can see the cross section at the upper open part, mid-olivar level, number of new elements in the gray matter and white matter, inferior cerebellar peduncle is there, and olive appears here between the pyramid and inferior cerebellar peduncle. For purpose of description, each half of the medulla is divided into medial, intermediate and lateral zone. Medial zone beneath pyramid, intermediate zone beneath olive, and lateral beneath inferior cerebellar peduncle. First the medial most is medial zone, then intermediate, then lateral zone. Medial zone is beneath pyramid, intermediate is beneath the olive, and lateral is beneath the inferior cerebellar peduncle. First we will see medial zone. In the medial zone, what do you see? Anterior most you will see arcuate nucleus. It is the lost pontine nucleus, or it belongs to pontine nuclei, group of nuclei. And then behind that you will see pyramid, that is uncrossed corticospinal tract. Then medial lemniscus formed by the internal arcuate fibers, tectospinal tract coming from midbrain, then medial longitudinal fasciculus. And in the medial zone you will see two nuclei, hypoglossal nuclei and nucleus intricatus along with arcuate nuclei. What is arcuate nuclei? It belongs to pontine nuclei, receive afferent from the corticopontine fibers running in the pyramid, and efferents they go to the cerebellum via inferior cerebellar peduncle by forming stria medullaris. Where you have seen stria medullaris? It is a junction between the pons and medulla posteriorly in the floor of fourth ventricle. Then hypoglossal nucleus belongs to general somatic efferent column, supplies the muscles of tongue. It lies beneath the hypoglossal trigone in the floor of fourth ventricle. Then nucleus intercalatus act as the neural integrator, and you will see the white matter there. So again you can see here what are the things you are seeing in the upper open part, hypoglossal nucleus. In the medial zone I am talking. In the medial zone you are seeing hypoglossal nucleus. Then in the intermediate zone beneath the olive you will see the olivar nuclear complex consisting of the principal inferior olivar nucleus, medial and dorsal accessory olivary nucleus. Then you will see posteriorly you will see dorsal nucleus of vagus and nucleus of tractus solitarius. So these are the nuclei what you see at the mid-olivar level in the intermediate zone. So principal olivar nucleus, it resembles like a purse or a connected bag with mouth open to the medial side. Ventral lamella receive fibers from the cortex, midbrain, dorsal lamella from the red nucleus, and it gives fibers as olivocerebellar fibers which form climbing fibers of the cerebellum. Then you will see medial and dorsal olivary nucleus accessory. They receive fibers from the periaqueductal gray matter and spinal cord and form para-olivocerebellar fibers. And the lateral zone consists of the inferior cerebellar peduncle, and you will also see the dorsal and ventral cochlear nucleus, pontobulbar body. It also belongs to pontine nuclei, and you will see vestibular group of nuclei, medial and inferior group of nuclei you see in the lower part here, and nucleus ambiguous and spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve are seen. The core of the lateral zone at this level is formed by the nucleus ambiguous. Dorsal and ventral cochlear nucleus are concerned with the hearing. Pontobulbar body, it belongs to pontine nuclei. Vestibular nuclei concerned with the equilibrium. Spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve carries pain and temperature from the ipsilateral side of the face and forehead. Nucleus ambiguous, it belongs to special somatic efferent column and gives branchiomotor fibers to the glossopharyngeal, vagus and accessory nucleus. And you have seen the nuclei and inferior salivatory nucleus is also there. You can see the medial and inferior vestibular nucleus and ventral and dorsal cochlear nucleus at this level, and it gives rise to glossopharyngeal nerve. It receives fibers from the nucleus ambiguous and inferior salivatory nucleus and dorsal nucleus of vagus, whereas vagus nerve receive fibers from the different nuclei. And accessory nerve, it belongs to general somatic efferent column. It supplies to the sternocleidomastoid and trapezius muscles, and this is how these three nerves take origin from the lateral part of the medulla in the upper open part. Coming to the blood supply, as I already discussed in the previous video, the brainstem is separated by the vertebral system of the arteries, where two vertebral arteries join to form basilar artery, and a vertebral artery gives three branches: anterior spinal, posterior spinal, and posterior inferior cerebellar artery. Anterior spinal supplies the median zone, posterior to the posterior funiculi, and posterior inferior cerebellar artery supplies lateral zone, which is important in case of the medullary infarcts that you can see here. Medullary infarcts affecting the circumferential branches of the posterior inferior cerebellar artery, and medulla may be injured in case of the road traffic accidents or other traumatic injuries. And important here is lateral medullary syndrome. It is due to infarction or thrombosis in the posterior inferior cerebellar artery supplying the lateral funiculi, containing all the important nuclei here and rootlets of the nerves. It involves inferior peduncle, inferior vestibular nucleus, and lateral spinothalamic tract, nucleus ambiguous, spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve, rootlets of 9, 10, 11 nerves emerging between the olive and the inferior peduncle. Medial medullary syndrome, it is involving the median zone by thrombus of anterior spinal artery, also known as alternating hypocausal hemiplegia. One side, on the same side you will have the paralysis of the tongue muscle, that is hypocausal nucleus injury, and contralateral side of the body is having hemiplegia. What happens in lateral medullary syndrome? Ipsilaterally you will see loss of pain and temperature sensation due to spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve, loss of corneal reflex, Horner syndrome, ataxia, paralysis of soft palate, pharynx and larynx due to nucleus ambiguous involvement, and contralateral side you will see loss of pain and temperature due to involvement of this lateral spinothalamic tract. And in medial medullary syndrome, due to thrombus of anterior spinal artery, same side you will see tongue paralysis, opposite side you will see hemiparesis and loss of these general sensations. So when you compare both medial and lateral medullary syndromes, what is there? You can see the structure involved: pyramidal, intermedullary hypocausal nerve, and medial lemniscus. So the features are resultant of the structures involved, what you see in medial medullary syndrome. In lateral medullary syndrome, what are the structures involved? Spinothalamic tract leading to contralateral loss of pain and temperature, spinal tract and nucleus of trigeminal nerve, ipsilateral loss of pain and temperature from the face and forehead. Nucleus ambiguous, it gives fibers to 9, 10, 11 cranial nerves. So paralysis of larynx, pharynx and palate leading to hoarseness of the voice, dysphagia, difficulty in swallowing, dysarthria, difficulty in speech, and deviation of uvula. And vestibular nucleus leads to vertigo, nausea and nystagmus, and involvement of inferior cerebral peduncle leads to ataxia, and some sympathetic fibers may be involved here leading to ipsilateral Horner syndrome, that is ptosis, anhidrosis, meiosis, anophthalmos and loss of ciliospinal reflex. Medulla is also involved in case of bilirubin encephalopathy. So hepatic failure may also lead to the encephalopathy involving the medulla, and the medulla is also involved in case of Arnold-Chiari malformations. Here you can see in the MRI how the medulla is visible, separated from the cerebellum by the cavity of the fourth ventricle. You can see here Arnold-Chiari malformation where there is herniation of the components of the hindbrain. You can see the herniation there and compressing on the posterior part of the medulla, leading to different symptoms and signs. So you can summarize here, the medulla is similar to spinal cord but has a lower closure in the upper open part, and it is studied in detail by the different sections.